Hey guys, Kaido here today with another YouTube video, and I got you the Kindred builds for Season 15. I'm going to show you the best builds you should do in your games, so let's get on with the video. So for Shards, you want to take attack speed, adaptive, and scaling HP. You could also take flight HP if you think there's going to be a lot of fighting in the early game. For Runes, you want to take Conquer or PTA. Conquer versus heavy prolonged fights, PTA versus squishy comps. Usually you want to run PTA you think your early game is really going to matter and you really want the early game damage in the first 5 to like 6-7 minutes, or you can go PTA with crit builds. It has very good synergy with crit builds because you usually want a 3-hit champion. So yeah, and you take Triumph with it, Alacrity, and Coup. I always take Coup no matter what on Kindred because you want to secure kills and you really want to do like the max amount of damage. To me, cut down is more of a rune that is like better in like the mid game, but Coup will always be better in the early game. And your E has a lot of synergy with Coup, so like, why would you not go Coup? I know people will be like, oh, but like cut down is so good late game, and like if we're fighting against like tanks and stuff. To be honest, it doesn't matter too much until like very late into the game, which is to me like 15-20 minutes plus. And Kindred is a very early game centric champion, so Coup just matters a lot for the early game. That's all it is. Okay, for your secondary runes, there is free boots with Cosmic or free boots with Jack of all trades. So for Jack of all trades, I suggest you take this when you are building Triforce because you will get a lot of stacks with it. Usually if you are Triforce with crit and then some resistances, so like armor, MR, you will pretty much have 10 stacks. I only like taking this rune if I feel like I can get full value out of it. So basically all 10 stacks, 8 plus minimum for sure. And then for Cosmic, it's just a really good rune for like smites and just like your early game for your flash CD. It's just a very consistent rune to take. You can also go sudden impact secondary with Relentless Hunter or Treasure Hunter. For this setup, it's a bit more aggressive, but it's up to you, right? It's preference. So Sudden Impact with Relentless, you want to do this in a very aggressive game. You can run around for kills pretty much. Treasure Hunter is you just need more money. Simple as that. Usually I take Treasure Hunter if I'm going crit builds because crit builds require a lot of money. So the same logic can be used for taking free boots, but I'll never do crit build with Relentless Hunter just because I just need so much money. Like free boots is 300 gold being saved to not need to buy boots, and Treasure Hunter is an extra like 50 gold per kill, which is like kind of meaningful in early game. Like you hit your spikes faster. So Kraken versus Triforce, probably a big like debate for Kindred mains. Like which one should I go, this or that? I'm just gonna simplify it for you. Kraken is a very snowballing item. It is my preferred item of choice on Kindred, just because I play her in a very aggressive style. The best way to play her in solo queue especially is to play her in a very aggressive style because you will learn a lot about the champion strengths. She has low mobility, very high damage, and she has very good scaling. But to be honest, not every game is a scaling game. Some games you should play with scale, but to me, those kind of games are the easiest. You just full clear, you get your mark, and you get your items. And very aggressive games where you have to really fight your way out, like you really need to play on the line, really play up front with the enemy, and like always try to find kills and like snowball very well. So it's definitely harder to play this style as Kindred. People don't like it, but it is the best way to play her. So I think you should know how to play the Kraken style. It is also very fun if you know how to really abuse the item very well. Now we got Zeal items that you could buy. In the images later, in the builds, I will just show the Zeal item, so you decide which one is the best item of choice in your games. So as simple as it is, PD is just a space gliding item pretty much, as funny as it sounds. Like it's just a lot of attack speed, decent amount of movement speed. You're basically going to be cutting people. Lots. It's very snowbally item in my opinion, so you cannot get behind with this type of item in my for sure. Navori is a very good item if you really want your Q ability to be very low cooldown. So usually against comps that are dashing into you a lot and you really want to kite them, it's probably the best time to build Navori. Rapid Fire, the reason why I say it's a good poke item, because a good amount of time you might have a lot of marks, or you have like IE or something, and you just Q4 and you poke someone. You know, you give them a little like taste of your auto, right? That's what I mean by good poking on rapid fire, and it's also just very good against high range. Now for Runeans, I usually only build this item when I'm playing on hit Kindred because like I'm gonna be hitting a lot with autos, right? So usually I'm on hits plus I'm versatile on melees. That's pretty much the time I build Runeans. So now we got hard carry Kraken builds. I know Cleaver Woodsun is on this, but it's a very good tempo build. You're building very strong items for the game. They're very consistent pretty much. And you have components like Phage and Recurbo in these items, which are very nice for like high tempo gameplay. They're really strong components. Like the HP and the attack speed are very nice on Kindred, especially if you're playing Conqueror with this build. You could also go Kraken PD into crit. It's a very psychopathic build, but I've done it before, and if you're dropping a lot of kills, it feels very nice when you're snowballing because you're moving around the map very fast. You have a lot of attack speed. Again, do the Conquer because the Conquer will give you a lot of AD, so the attack speed helps you. You know, for the lack of AD you have with this build, Conquer makes up for it pretty much. You can also go Kraken Collector, which is one of the standard crit builds, into full crits. Another good old Kindred build. Oh yeah, let's cover some on hit versus crit Kindred like stuff. On hit is very forgiving to play because usually you're pretty tanky. You most likely have resistances, like you're gonna have MR, you're gonna have armor, you're gonna have HP, you're gonna have some kind of like maybe sometimes even lifesteal because you have Bork, right? So it's pretty forgiving to play. You're not as squishy, so. And I also believe the components are very strong. It's not a lot stronger than crit, but it's very strong on tempo. Like they're very cheap compared to like a pickaxe and stuff. Like Phage components, if Ruby plus sword is very nice. Recurbo 700 gold, very nice. You know, like it just feels so good if you're like want cheap components to snowball off of. Though for crit builds, it's a very high performance type build. You know, if you mess up, you can be punished pretty fast. Like you might just instantly die in certain fights, but it does feel very rewarding to play crit builds if you play very well. So that is the difference between on hit and crits on Kindred. Now we got Kraken Triforce into two different variations. You can go crits or you can go on hits. You can also go Triforce with Sen with a Terminus if you want. Terminus is very nice on Kindred, though it's of like you kind of want to end the game early because it doesn't really scale well. Crit always will scale the best, so usually that's why you want to build some sort of crit on Kindred so you can like swap out your items later on. Like at times I would sell my Kraken for a full crit item. I've done it in the past before, even on stream. Like let's say I'm at like 3-4 items and I need one more item to get 100% crits, for example. I just sell my Kraken if I can buy a full crit item with it because it's just stronger. Like the Kraken is really good. It's a really good item on your first and like second like 2 items, you know. But 3, 4, 5, it might feel a bit worse and worse when you can just swap it out for a full crit item. It's as simple as that, right? Okay, enough about Kraken. Now we're just gonna talk about the Triforce builds. There's only 3 of them. You can go Triforce Cleaver with Sen into good items for the game. Very simple build, very consistent, very useful for the game. Though I don't prefer it because it feels very slow. You don't do too much damage. You're kind of just like making fun of the enemy. Very tanky. You're just gonna play in their face. You can go Triforce with Sen into crit, which is something I actually like to do. I just like Witsen a lot as an item. Double Recurbo feels very nice, and sometimes you can pair this with Tab Eyes. So you can be Triforce, Tab Eyes, Witsen. You are going to be very tanky with this build, and then you just go crit afterwards because you're already tanky, and then you're just going to kill everyone on your screen. You can also go Triforce Collector into full crit. Another, I think, it's just probably one of the most standard builds right now in League. It's like fun, you know. I would probably suggest like the average Kindred player to build Triforce Collector just because the HP is very nice from Triforce. But yeah, I mean, like it's at end of the day, it's just preference. Like some builds are more higher pace, requires more performance, requires some like big balls to play. But some builds are very forgiving, very slow. I mean, you can't mess up with it pretty much, like Triforce Cleaver. So build whatever you want to win your games. I do suggest you play Kraken or you play Triforce with Sun. Any Kraken build is good, or yeah, Triforce with Sun.